Hi, Cathy.
Hi,
It's so
thank
nice
you.
to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's nice to be under the sun and talk to you today.
Spanish way of applying for a job is a little bit different than in the rest of Europe, because usually people here are more like they have this time for coffee, or they are waiting for you to call them and say that you are interested in a job. And in some countries it's just people think that managers don't have time, don't bother them, they have assistant. And here is this, they really want to know who are you, what is your character, what can you offer, and they have this huga that they want to have a good colleague to the team. So that's why it's so important for them to get know you a little better before they hire you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because in Denmark what's important with in a job is that you have the ability to work with teams, and that's one way for them. If you invite a manager for a coffee meeting, and that's one way for them to know your character. Is this person friendly? Can this person work in a team? And that's one way for them to know the chemistry between you and maybe this person, the manager. And also you mentioned a little bit about, in other countries people think, oh, managers are busy. But I always tell others, because I met up with this young lady and she mentioned to me, oh, maybe people are very busy, I'm afraid to ask them. And I said, please don't assume that. Don't assume that they're busy. If they would really like to meet up with you, if you do the right approach, then they would give every reason to meet up with you. But don't assume that they're busy. Ask first and then see later on. If of course you don't get an answer, then move on and find another one who could help you. So that person is busy, move on to someone else.
And I also met a girl at one of your event that she was very insisting. She wanted to work in a specific company, and she was calling this manager like for 3 months, and he wasn't picking up the phone, but he was like trying, and finally he picked up the phone and he met with her and she got a job.
Yeah, because she was insistent, and or persistent maybe is the right term for that. She was persistent, and it's a good character. And yeah, it's true that managers could be very busy and they wouldn't pick up, and it's a risk we take when we approach someone who are busy people. But look what happened to her. There are a lot of success stories, and you wouldn't know. Right now I also work for a startup called Seal, and I'm also starting a position with another startup called Time Angels. But the reason I got these positions is that because I had a coffee meeting with the owner of Seal. But I had coffee meeting with her not because I was looking for a job in her company. It's just because I was asking how to approach finding a job in Denmark. I was asking her, and she met up with me at Doc8. And then after a few months, there was a position that she needed in her company. And when she saw my application, of course, she remembered me, and we followed each other on LinkedIn.
First
choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there are a lot of success stories. Sometimes people don't tell others about it, but there are really a lot of success stories that coffee meetings and networking, they work. They are very effective if you know the right approach.
There also was a story about Cathy that she was also at the LinkedIn in Aarhus, and she said a good story that she knew a friend who was IT guy, and he was sending a job, he was applying and no response, and then he put just like one thing, that he was a trainee at the kids camp a few years ago, and suddenly phone rang because somebody thought that he got leading skills.
Yeah.
And in other countries he would think, oh, this is totally not relevant. What has a kids camp with looking for an IT position? But again, there are some differences with the Danish market, and for them it was, okay, this guy is not only like a geek in a computer, but can work with people, again, this team, and he can also be a leader of a team.
Yeah, I totally agree that your past positions could really help, but also volunteering or whatever you could find relevant skills that you could put in your resume. And I understand some people, when they think job searching, they think that you sit at home in the computer, looking at the computer and looking at job index. But this is a very lazy approach. Or maybe old school or lazy approach, maybe I say. because, well, that's also a good approach. I mean, sometimes it works for other people, but as internationals, we have to do better than that.
Be more active.
Be more active, because I always tell people, like, what would make you stand out more than the Danes, like how, because if a manager would say, okay, there's a Danish person and there's this person, what would be your advantage? And so maybe a proactive way is, maybe looking at job index, but also building your skills, and putting them out there, making your LinkedIn sharp. And I also was thinking, people should really do better with LinkedIn by posting what they're really good at, but also being authentic, what they really did, and they put it in there. So building skills is also a very, like, building skills, volunteer, go out, meet people, and how you could help people. Or like for me, I love creating events, so I created my own. So just being out there, and I know it could be a big risk, and I know that it might work and might not work, but you will never know unless you try.
And at your last event, we met Greg McQueen.
Yeah.
Could you tell what story was? Why you invited? Why you choose this speaker?
Yeah, Greg McQueen is one of my connections on LinkedIn, and he is a wonderful, very talented photographer, and now he's focused on commercial photography. And I was looking a few months ago. I was looking for my next speaker for LinkedIn Local. And I was just like, looking at people's profile and thinking, okay, would this person be my guest speaker? Or so I was like, looking for people. And Greg McQueen posted something very inspiring. He was in a boot camp, and he was so excited to learn and share what he learned from that boot camp. And so I asked him, like, would you like to talk about it in front of the participants in LinkedIn Local? And of course I was expecting that he would have a lot of questions, like, oh, what is LinkedIn Local and all, but he said yes. And then he went to the first event this year to know what's LinkedIn Local, and then he prepared his speech, and it was wonderful, very heartwarming, honest speech. And I know some people told me that they were about to cry when Greg mentioned about the like things in his life that he doesn't want to be there anymore. And it was really it catches people's hearts, I think, his talk. And I'm so happy that I got a guest speaker who's like that, who's very honest, and also most guys sometimes they're not very good at saying out what they feel, but Greg was very good at it, and he was able to capture his emotions and share it to others.
And he was honest, like you said, because this was also beautiful that at your events we meet really real people that are telling both sides, not only everything is wonderful, I did this and that, and only success. They say real story, how sometimes they are struggle, how sometimes it is a process, like also with Greg, that he said that in some point in his career he felt burned out, stressed, and that he needed to stop and rebuild his life. So this is also very good example for others, that it's not easy, also you said one time that act beyond the fear. Do you feel sometimes fear, and what you can say?
Oh, every time. I think if I stand in front of the crowd, there's always this nervousness, and sometimes you think about, oh, what will they think, or oh, maybe they won't like me, and all these things. But you go up there and you do your best, and then you just say, okay, that's it. I did my best, and then but the feeling of being happy inside because you have fulfilled what you wanted to do is really satisfying, compared to not going after it and then later on regretting, oh, why didn't I try? And this is what I tell people also, about courage and just trying and being out there. I think it's relatable not just to me but also to all the other people out there.